We're going to be talking about plotting rational numbers and absolute value. We've already gone over some absolute value, but we're just going to go right over it quickly today. Integers are any positive or negative whole number. We know that. It does not include fractions or decimals. However, a rational number is any number that can be written as a fraction. This means that they are positive or negative, and it can be a fraction or a decimal. So we're going to plot the following integers on the number line. And we've done this before. We're going to start with 2, and I'm going to just come over here. And remember, your number line, I drew this in here, is always going to be 0, split it in the middle. To the left is negative, to the right is positive. You never mix the two. So this is going to be 2, so I'm going to put a dot on 2, a dot on -6. I have 5, which is over here. A 4, which is right in front of the 5. I have a -1, the 0, the -3, and the -4. Okay. At this point, if they wanted me to write it from least to greatest, I could go over here and say -6, -4, -3, -1, 0, 2, 4, and 5. If they asked me to write it from greatest to least, I could come over here and start on the right-hand side and go to the left. 5, 4, 2, 0, -1, -3, -4, and -6. So we're always going to write these on our in the right order on the number line, and then go from there from where they're asking us. All right, we're going to plot some of the following, and I tried to kind of color code some of this because we're talking about plotting rational numbers. And so we're going to have to kind of chop this number line up a little bit more. On the 0, if you notice, 4s I left on the 1/4 should be a pink. So I'm going to change this to my pink color here. So the 4ths I made into pinks, okay? And so this is going to be a 4. This is going to be a 4, okay? So if I'm looking at -1/4, I'm going to start at 0, and I split this from 0 to -1, and from 0 to 1, I split these into fourths. I cut them into 4 equal pieces all the way down to 1, 4 equal pieces all the way down to -1. So if I'm looking for -1/4, I'm going to go all the way to my first -1/4 and put a dot. 4/5, I put those in these darker kind of raspberry colors. So this is -1/5 and -2/5. But I want to look at the positive 2/5. So this is going to be 4/5 right here. 1/4 is going to be right here. -2/3, I split these. Now -2/3 is in the green, so this is -1/3 and -2/3 is right here. And -2, that's -2/3, and 1/2 is going to be 2/4, which is going to be right here. That will reduce down to 2/4 reduces down to 1/2. So I tried to kind of color code it so we could go ahead and chop these up. These I went ahead and cut these into 10 equal little bitty pieces because we've got 1/10 and we've got some fifths in there, 6 1/3. So we're going to have to kind of guesstimate about where they're going to be. All right, so if I've got 1/3, I'm looking on the positive side, and I know that I'm going to be chopping this up probably about 1/3 is going to be somewhere, if I put it in equal thirds, it's going to be somewhere around here. 1/3 a little bit smaller than 2/3. So that'll be 1/3 is here. -3/5, I've already put this over here, is going to be plotted here. Okay, because I reduced down -6/10 to -3/5, and I've got a -5/6. So I'm going to cut these into 6 little pieces. I know that -5/6 is going to be a little bit smaller than a negative. Let's see. Okay, so this is going to be, if I had this cut into 6, I could cut this into a 6th here, maybe a 6th here, a 6th here, 6th here, this 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 6th here. So my -5/6 is going to fall about right here on the number line. -1/10, I've already got these placed into 1/10, so this is on the negative side or the left side of 0, so that's going to be -1/10. And 2/3 I know is going to be about, if I cut these into thirds right here, and I know this is a third, I know positive 2/3 is going to be somewhere in here, so this would be 2/3. Okay, so I didn't mean to go over that one, but it's going to be 2/3. Here I did the same thing. I tried to put the fours where I've got the green lines are in fourths. Now look at this. I've got some improper fractions. The best way to do this is to change this back into the mixed number that it is. So that's 1 1/2. Negative 19/10 is going to be negative 1 9/10. Negative 4 4/3 is going to be negative 1 1/3. And 7/4 is going to be 1 3/4. Okay, that's going to be a little bit easier since we've got it all the way from 0 to 1, 1 to 2. So if I look at, and this one's, I've already got that. So this is going to be negative 1/4, and I know that if I start at 0, this is negative 1/4. I'm going to plot that point. Negative 1 1/2 is going to be 1, and then half of that is going to be right here. So that's 1 1/2. Okay, this is going to be negative 1/4. Okay, the negative 19/10 is going to be negative 1, which it goes down here, and all the way down to 9/10, which is going to be almost right there at the 2. So this is going to be negative 19/10. Then I've got negative 4/3, which is going to be negative 1, which is going to be negative 1 here, negative 1, and then I've got another third, which is going to be cut into thirds about right here. I would say this is going to be a negative 1 1/3. Okay, and then I'm going to have 7/4 or 1 1/3 or 1 3/4. So this is going to be 1, and then 3/4, that's a half. So this is going to be 1 3/4 or 7/4. Always write it in its original form. This is going to take you a little bit of time, so take your time and divide up your number line so you know where these are. You know that the larger the denominator, the smaller the little slices are going to be between 0 and 1. You know the bigger it is, the larger your pieces are going to be. So make sure you divide these up and you can identify them on a number line. All right, let's do some absolute value. We've talked about the absolute value is the distance a number is from 0. The number on the number line, you're going to use these absolute vertical symbols for absolute value when it's around a number, and it helps us express distance and not direction, okay? So it tells us how far from 0 something is. Let's simplify these. It says to simplify these, and then it says to list from least to greatest. If I simplify the 18, the absolute value of 18 is 18 away from 0, so this is going to be 18. Negative 3 is 3 spaces from 0, so that's positive 3. The absolute value of 0 is just going to be 0. It's neither positive or negative. And this one we're going to look at because we're going to first do what's in the parentheses, just like we did before, or in the grouping symbols. So you've got negative 13 is a positive 13, okay? But this negative on the outside is saying what is the opposite of the absolute value of negative 13, which means it's going to be negative 13. So these are going to be in their simplest form. Now it says list from least to greatest. First of all, I need to identify this is 3. It's just going to be regular 3. The absolute value of negative 5 is going to be 5 because it's always going to be a positive. I've just got a negative 5 here, and I've got a negative 3. The absolute value of negative 3 is 3, but the opposite of 3 is going to be a negative 3. So when I look at this, I want to go from least to greatest. I always go back. I know that the least number that I have here is negative 5. Then negative 3 is my next one. 3 will be my third number, and 5 is going to be my fourth number. So I'm going to write it as it is seen in the original form. If 1, that is just a plain negative 5. My second one is the opposite of a negative absolute value of negative 3, so I'm going to write it just like it was originally stated. 3 is going to be in its own regular format is 3, and negative 5, absolute value of negative 5 will be 5, so this is going to be these four numbers from least to greatest in my original form. So we're going to be doing some of these in class. Just make sure you go over this, make sure that you know how to slice up your number line so you get your numbers correctly placed on it.